Oklahoma regrets leaving the Big 12. That has become a year and a half ago. It was the murmur of, was that the right call? Competitively, was that the right call to go to the Southeastern Conference? And I think as of today, mid-May, and Oklahoma now has their football schedule released, a lot of those guys look around the room going, this could be bad.
This could be bad. And the timing could not have been worse in terms of, you're still, I know a lot of OU fans are still prove it to me, Brent Venables zone. You know what I mean? Like it's time to put up or shut up. And now your schedule just got exponentially tougher. And this all kind of ties back into the conference realignment and what it means to fans versus what it means to universities. And it is kind of funny how much it can change in just under 2 years, because you and I were talking about, boy, Texas is really going to regret this. You might be able to hold your own, but Texas is really going to regret this. And I still feel the same way about both programs, is that I don't think the way they've gone for Texas the last 10 years and for OU the last couple of years, that it's just going to be a nailed on, we're going to be at the top of this conference every year, especially in the West. I don't know that they'll become A&M in terms of how just rudderless A&M has become in that sport, but it's that risk that you take when you go in there. I mean, it's not going to be 6 straight conference championships, I can tell you that.
Yeah, and there are fans, OU fans, who will justify this by saying, well, now we have way more money. Well, now we get a massive revenue share from the SEC, and now our school is so much more rich than you all in the Big 12. And from my perspective, and I don't even know if it should be I think the Texas thing a lot of times was the pathos of it, of we just all hate Texas. So everybody point and laugh, see you later, we didn't need you in the conference anyway. For OU, there was less of that animosity. You respect the winner. You kind of have to respect the winner. And now they seem to be the ones getting the short end of the stick. And it's not this, here's the pissed off Big 12 guy. Of course, you would think Oklahoma made a bad decision. Guess what, brother? That money, you're not going to see any of it. I'm not going to see any of it. I mean, and now what we know about where college athletics is going, schools are canceling their fun new stadiums. They're canceling their projects because they can't afford them anymore. OU's new money is not going to show up on your doorstep at all, but the losses are.
Yeah, and honestly, this does tie back into Baylor in a way, because we saw all these facilities being built at Baylor the last decade, and you think that's why they had a false start in NIL? Absolutely. Yeah. Like, it's tough to do that and then go ask people for money again. And this is kind of the reverse of it. OU definitely, or any school will need something in the next 10 years to keep beefing up for your recruiting profile. And that money's going to players. And it's going to a quality of a team, sure, but when you brag about how great the SEC is for years, well, then that money is not going to stretch as far as it used to. It's like trying to find a house in Massachusetts versus finding one in Texas. I mean, it's just that money is not going to stretch as far. And I think of, talking about what we talked about in the last segment, going up to the Power 2. And I look at the SEC and the Big Ten, and I don't think they're as close as a lot of people think from a competitive standpoint. The Big Ten, the middle of the road in the Big Ten, is about the middle of the road in the Big 12. Yeah. But they have 2 teams at the top that are there all the time. And so I say that to say, if OU had stayed in the Big 12 and been the big fish in the small pond, there would have been money there. And we're seeing it now. I mean, the expansion didn't come just because OU and Texas left the conference. Expansion came because expansion was available, right? So we're not talking about, there wouldn't be a Utah or a BYU or a Houston because OU and UT were still there. It would have been adding on to that. And if you could be that head honcho like you were, even with an expanded conference, which, by the way, Oklahoma should have been, then you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting the money. You're getting the prestige, because the ACC is still going to fall down. The Pac-12 is still going to fall down without having that competitive imbalance, I guess we'll call it.
And it's not, it's not even Big 12 guy rags on Big 12. The SEC is better at football. There's, on the whole, the SEC is better than at football. And I'm perfectly willing to admit that. And then therein lies the problem for an OU fan is, what were your better odds of making college football playoff? Having Arizona State, Houston, and Arizona on your schedule, who they got shellacked by in the bowl game last year, or having Auburn on the road, having Ole Miss on the road. Alabama and LSU in consecutive weeks to end your season. It just doesn't feel like competitively Oklahoma's in the spot right now, or even, I mean, you give it a 10-year stretch. How many college football playoffs would they make in the SEC compared to the Big 12? I think that number is a pretty big gap.
It's it's no longer whatever, the late 20 teens, you were saying, well, they can make the college football playoff every year because they have that high end talent. They've got great coaching, and the conference isn't the SEC or even the Big Ten, but they don't have that anymore. And so to think of, I think seeing the Pac-12 already go and seeing the ACC start to deteriorate, that is not good news for Oklahoma or Texas for the reasons we just laid out. I mean, you could have been, we were whittling down to a power 3 either way.
Yep.
And you decided to go into the one that is the toughest to win in.
That's not good for you, probably.
It's not great. And it's not great for the fan. Like that's what we care about, right? Like, and that's what they've bragged about, UT especially, but OU as well, of, we're not going to get these 11 a.m. kickoffs. We get the money coming in. It's like, who cares, man? Yep. I mean, you're leaving a conference, and I get it. OU the last couple of years has not been the Oklahoma that you and I are used to, but you stay in that conference, man. You've got a real puncher's chance at the worst every year to win this thing. And you're Oklahoma. That is a brand where if you go 10-2 in a 14-team, 12-team playoff format, you're Oklahoma. You're going to the college football playoff. You're 10-2 Oklahoma. If you are, because and this might be controversial, and I don't even like saying it, because OU is a bigger brand than the Big 12. Yeah. UT is a bigger brand than the Big 12. And, and I would argue, I would say the same thing about the Big 10. Michigan and Ohio State are a bigger brand than the Big 10. So it really, as we've seen with the Big 10, it doesn't matter really how bad your conference is. Every once in a while you have a Florida State, and that stinks. And that stinks. And that's what you look at now and you say, Cam, you're an idiot. And I get that. But most years, if you're just Oklahoma and you take care of business and maybe you slip up against an Iowa State or a Kansas State on the road, you're still in. We've seen this blueprint before. Not anymore. Now 10-2 Oklahoma definitely is in the playoff, but 10-2 Oklahoma is probably not happening. And you're right. I think Oklahoma being bigger than the Big 12 is not a wild thing. More people wear Oklahoma shirts than they do Big 12 shirts. Yeah. No one says, I'm a Big 12 fan, right? You're a fan of an entity, and that entity is OU. It's big enough to have survived well into the expanded college football playoff years in the Big 12, but I don't know if it can in the SEC. Coming up, Utah got a gift from Brett Yormark. This is Locked On Big 12, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Monopoly Go is how I take the classic, awesome Monopoly game on the go. Like, I love to play it when I go. You're going camping with your friends, and you say, hey, somebody bring cards, somebody bring Monopoly. You play it. It's fun. What if you can't do that because you're on an airplane? Ha! Monopoly Go. You download the app today and play with your friends for unique stickers you can trade with friends to complete big albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel the boards with. Hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash their buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. A ton include their own unique mini games like digging for treasure or a robot pachinko machine. There's always new timed events to help you win big. Right now at Monopoly Go. Download it for free on the Google Play, the App Store. Game on. It's Monopoly Go. Download and play today.